Café con leche.
Every day, paciencia y fe. Until the day we go from poverty to stock options. Today's all we got, so we cannot stop. This is our block in the heights.
We have In the Heights. All right, so as always, I will try to keep it short and probably fail, but this is a tricky one to discuss because there's two sides to this coin. I'm going to address this now because it's the biggest talking point of the film. I know there's claims of whitewashing in the film. I am definitely not qualified to speak on those issues. I'm going based purely off of my experience with it as a film in itself. In regard to deeper layers of lack of Afro-Latin persuasion and lack of representation, I can't speak to any of that. I am a simple white man who don't know two things about any of that. I haven't done enough research to be able to be qualified on it, and frankly, in my position, I can't speak on it to begin with. So, again, going purely based off of how I felt watching it as a movie. So, In the Heights came out, again, technically this year, 2021, although it was supposed to come out last year, because I remember the trailers. Again, it's another one of those films like Quiet Place Part 2, where I remember the trailers when they first hit, and I was like, oh, cool, this will be a cool like movie to check out toward the end of this year, and then pushed back. Now, I'm surprised that it got a theatrical release. I thought for sure it was just going to be straight to Blu-ray and DVD, maybe a stream exclusive HBO type deal, which technically it still was, but this has had a pretty decent theatrical run so far. They waited and they pushed it out, and they were able to sell it. So, yeah, In the Heights is a musical, like full-blooded musical, in case you were curious. Going from the top down as usual. Directed by a John Chu. Very extensive filmography. Maybe just the ones that I saw, but it seems like he just does a lot of work on sequels, because he directed G.I. Joe Retaliation, which is a sequel. He directed Step Up 2, The Streets, which is a sequel. I mean, obviously. And Now You See Me Too. So, like, big names, pretty heavy hitter. He has, of course, like I said, more extensive of a filmography, but most notably it's some of these films. But he knows how to do high-paced thriller, action. He's worked with music, he's worked with choreography and all that, so he's experienced, and it shows going into the film. Overall, I had a fun time. Is In the Heights my favorite musical? No. I thought it was good, but I have a bunch of others that I would definitely rank above that one. I also want to preface this by saying I have no experience with the source material. I'm an idiot. Going into this, I thought, oh, cool, I'm watching an original production here. I thought it might have been adapted, but I didn't realize that like it really was adapted from like source material, that like an already existing musical that has been adapted multiple times already. So didn't know that, but going into it, I had a really fun time. Yeah, so the music is done by Lin-Manuel Miranda, assuming I said that correctly. I only knew of him because of, here's a shocker, Alexander Hamilton, which I think Hamilton definitely is one of my favorite musicals. What is there to be said about Hamilton that has not already been said about Hamilton? I'll leave it at that. I think it's his star power is partly what sold the movie, like as a thing for people that, you should go see this because the guy who did Hamilton did this one. So that makes sense. And it's part of what dragged me into it, because I saw the trailers and I was like, oh yeah, cool. So yeah, same producers. It's gonna have some catchy musical numbers. Maybe there's gonna be a deeper layer of things to be said. I thought the musical was very enjoyable. There were moments that were funny. There were moments that were corny. There were moments that like I got teared up, cried a little bit here and there. It's I know some of the bigger complaints online. And granted, critics love the film. Audiences have either loved it or resent it. Again, they either love it and they just enjoyed it as a musical, or they have a problem with lack of representation. I personally didn't think I saw a lack of anything in the film. I was seeing culture throughout all of the film, culture of various families and ethnicities and all that. But again, I'm not qualified to speak on this. I'm just going by what I saw, what I thought I saw. I mean, hell, there's a whole musical number about the grandmother who is like telling her story of how she came from another country, immigrated over to America and worked her fucking ass off to try to ensure a better history for like the next generation and all that. Like, I don't know what more representation do you need in that regard. And then and maybe I guess it was because the leads weren't all full-blooded this or that. Again, I don't know, but like, I'm confused. You're welcome to educate me in the comments if you like, but honestly, I thought, all things considered, it could have been a lot worse. This wasn't some like Scarlett Johansson. I know I always go back to it. It wasn't like Scarlett Johansson playing, she's playing Cleopatra Jones or something. No, this was just like, I don't know, man. There's so many stars. I mean, it would take a while to go down the list. I'll stick with the lead, who you might recognize if you are a Hamilton fan. But we have Anthony Ramos. Killed it. The kid is a star. I mean, he killed it. You would know him as both Lawrence the soldier in Hamilton, as well as Hamilton's son. So like, I did everything you asked of me, Father. I did everything you asked. But yeah, he was great. I mean, I'll show like the rest of the cast, because everybody I thought did a good job. I don't think anybody did a bad job. I don't think anybody phoned anything in. Performances were great. The singing, the songs, everything was there. It wasn't like, I know people watched like Les Mis and were like, I don't know if Russell Crowe should be seen, and I didn't get any of those kind of vibes from this, so I'm good with that. Again, I guess the only like downfalls to the film were that it was a bit predictable in spots, and I guess the plot wasn't anything too original. I mean, it just ended up being like, kid has a dream, but then realizes that what he wants, he's had all along. We've seen that story before. That being said, I was never bored. I will say, I don't have many complaints, but my biggest complaint, I have not seen the source material, so I don't know if this is just how the story was written. But after we get resolution for the main character, Anthony Ramos' character, I felt like there were still a few characters in this movie that didn't get a resolution. There were plot lines I was curious about, and people that I wanted to know how it ended for them, and we didn't get that. Oddly enough, the movie ends, and it's like, yo, you have a couple here, and they're happily ever after. But I'm like, what about all this other stuff? What about that one kid's scholarship fund? And what about the one guy that was gonna be together with the girl, but she went off back to college and all this? Like, there were a bunch of like unanswered questions, and I'm like, where's their resolution, or even like a hint at the resolution? Or are you just supposed to like assume how things ended? I don't know, but it would have been nice to know. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Good direction, like I said, fun musical numbers. It's a soundtrack that I haven't listened to again, but I wouldn't be opposed to listening to 96G, or any of the songs really. I mean, there was a pretty good bunch of them. Seeing as how I really did enjoy myself, but also seeing as how there were some character threads that weren't quite picked up. I have to at least consider the claims of whitewashing in the cast. Again, I can't really like factor it in too heavily, but since it's been such a prevalent news story, I'm at least gonna like keep it on the back burner in terms of like, oh well, this is possibly a thing, even if I might not 100% agree with it. But I don't want to argue here. And again, I have no like prior experience with the source material, so I'm only going based off of the movie that I've seen, and that's it. But overall, I would say that In the Heights is on my news scale, I would say it's like a low 4 out of 5. It's definitely above average. It's not near perfect, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was a solid film. I wouldn't go see it in theaters again, but I would definitely like, rent it or play it, or like, I would see it again with some friends, maybe like play it in the background in a given random scenario. But it's a movie I would be willing to see again, and I could recommend. I still think Hamilton's better, though. I mean, that's about all the thoughts I have for In the Heights. I don't have a lot to say, like I said. I might have actually stuck to my guns this time. But yeah, that's In the Heights. Again, I know there's controversy surrounding the movie. Not as much as some other movies have garnered, but, enough to keep in your thoughts. So, again, if anybody wants to educate me, they're more than welcome to in the comments below. But otherwise, I thought it was an enjoyable film. And then, for me, it's hard to picture someone like Lin-Manuel Miranda, someone who created Hamilton and went out of their way to like show the founding fathers in quite literally another light, with different actors portraying these characters. It just, I don't see, seeing that makes it difficult to see me as someone who would then stand by and advocate for like whitewashing roles. It doesn't these things don't add up for me. So I don't know. But anyway, check it out yourself. See if you disagree or agree. Or I mean, I'd say you'll enjoy it. I think most people would enjoy it. If you don't like musicals, then stay away from it, obviously. But yeah, is it the best musical ever? No. Is it like one of my top films for the year? I haven't seen a whole lot of films, so right now, yeah. But I'm sure it'll eventually be booped off the list if the releases keep coming. So anyway, thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of, whatever movie I review. Thank you, and goodbye, travelers.